Good morning and welcome to 3. Today's guest is someone I'm proud to call family. Russel Hansel is a husband, father to 3 daughters, and a man who made a bold choice when his family needed it most. When one of his daughters developed allergy-induced asthma, he didn't just look for a quick fix. He chose to change their entire way of living. And Russel and his wife left the grind of Greenville or South Carolina and chose to move to the mountains or Utah for a healthier, cleaner, and more intentional way to live for their girls. In this episode, we'll talk about the cost of those decisions, the way to fatherhood, and what it means to lead a family with purpose, even when it demands real sacrifice. So thank you, Russel, for joining us today.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me.
We're certainly glad to get this going. I know I mentioned before, but I always see you maybe once during the holidays, and everybody swarms your family, because they all want to see what's going on and check in. And I'm always like, I don't want to bug him. He's already got 10 people waiting in lines.
Well, it's usually not me. Usually everyone will see the girls and just happen to be the
that's
girls
true.
in there.
Well, that's how it is now. Once you have kids, people don't really care about us anymore. It's all about the kids. So, it's not so bad. So right now, we've talked a little bit about where you are right now, but for those listening or watching, what does life right now look like in Utah for you?
Yeah, we made the decision to move cross country. The decision's been a while ago, but we actually moved last July, so we've been here about 10 months, 9 months, something like that. Yeah, we're still discovering this place and still trying to get used to it. I came out here by myself, kind of looked around at several places and kind of found a place like kind of on a map that I thought was far enough from big Salt Lake City that be a little slower pace and a little more spread out, but I was wrong. It's very busy where we are, constantly growing. The whole valley just seems to be exploding and lots going on. So we're still trying to figure out, where we're going to set roots. We haven't bought a house yet, but we're looking into places. But yeah, everyday life it's busy. Like trying to figure out this place and girls in school and Meg works from home. I work for a garage door company, so staying busy.
Was that something, did you already know that was going to be your job or something you found when you got
there?
No,
it was something we found when we got here. I had another job lined up, or so I thought, and got here and that quickly changed. And so I just started scrounging and looking for jobs, and this is the first place that offered me a job. So I've been there since end of August.
If you don't mind me asking, what was the job that you thought you had?
So I took, back home, I took a part-time job at the Bass Pro Shop as the dock manager, just shipping and receiving. And I had that job lined up for the Cabela's out here. Bass Pro bought Cabela's, so same company. I had that lined up out here, was just going to transfer, going to make it real easy. And then they decided to hire someone in-house and not an outsider. But they didn't tell me until I got here, so that was fun.
Yeah. That's kind of a huge, were you able to talk to them, or when you got here, they just sent you an email and like that?
No, I went in and talked to them and toured the place, thought I was in there to set everything up and figure out my first day and all that. And then they just said, we'll call you and let you know. And I was like, let me know what? And they're like, if you get the job. I was like, whoa. I just cross country. I thought I had a job. And the reason I took that job is because I knew moving cross country, I needed something right away. Money coming in right away. So that's the only reason I took that job to begin with. But it actually worked out. The garage door company pays better. It's not super great, but it pays better. So I'm paying bills.
That's not bad. Yeah. Is it, are you installing? Are you part of like their admin side?
I'm installing. I'm actually a master tech. So I pretty much do everything. Installs. If there's a problem, I go and fix it.
Nice little handyman. Did anything that you had learned before, I know that you did the food truck. So doing the food truck, did that, help you in this stuff because you're having to do repairs on the food truck? Or?
Not really. No, the food truck, we loved it. I just didn't know if I wanted to bring that cross country yet. So had a name and had a reputation back home, had gigs. Um, we were feeding the cancer center once a month, that kind of stuff. But out here, I didn't have any of that, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to try to rebuild. So that's, like I said, the money coming in immediately when we got here. So I took the garage door job. And then slowly I'd like to build up maybe the catering side. We started focusing on catering back home instead of the food truck when we knew we were moving. So that helped. And then doing competitions too.
So what originally brought you into doing food trucks? Because I don't remember. I don't remember there being like, oh, have you tried Russell's this? Or, Russell's obviously you're a great cook, chef, because you did it. So what brought you into it?
So I started just on the grill smoking meat, got a smoker, and decided, hey, I'd like to try a barbecue competition. Think that'd be a lot of fun. Started watching like competitions online and on TV, and there was a guy. He's from Texas. He was teaching a class in New Orleans. He's 83 years old, doesn't have any kids, didn't have anyone to pass all his recipes and secrets on to. So we decided to do a class, and I was like, why not? I'll go check it out. So he's in the Barbecue Hall of Fame. He's won millions and millions of dollars competing all across the world. And so I was like, man, what a great guy to learn from. So I went and learned from him, and then came home and thought, I want to do these competitions, but I got to find a way to pay for it. So we decided to open up a food truck and kind of let me practice on that. Built out a big trailer with smokers and all this equipment, and would take that around to neighborhoods and just random parking lots, and then again to barbecue competitions and that kind of stuff. So it was a grind. I was a one-man band. You prep for 40 hours just to serve and sell out in like 2.5 hours, and like, whew, man, all that work, and it's all gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
But if you're able to make the money in 2 hours, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that's not so bad.
I quickly learned that I would much rather be on the smoker and prepping stuff than trying to run a businessman. So once we started like catering and doing weddings and stuff, we started crunching the numbers, and I'm like, man, I only made like $1.26 an hour on this. We got to change this. But the money looked good. It's just, I didn't really calculate my prep time as well as I could have, but it was okay.
And so you said, do you still have the truck?
I don't have a trailer anymore. Okay. I sold that, but I still have a lot of equipment. So, I can pick up here pretty much anytime. We've talked about doing something this summer. There's a couple of competitions in Salt Lake that I may try out. So, okay. Yeah, we'll see.
Pretty exciting. And it seems like I always see your wife popping up on Facebook. So she's been doing a few different things. So she's on something else. She's doing something else right now. But
end of 2017, she took on a little side hustle that kind of exploded really quickly, and was able to quit her corporate job, and then that's what enabled me to be able to quit my job and start my food truck. Started at a horrible time in 2020. I quit my job I quit my job at January of 2020, and the world shut down in like March of 2020. And we just had a newborn baby in February of 2020. So we were all stuck at home, trying to figure out, do I invest all this money right now in a food truck?
Yeah. When
I was getting brisket for like $1.80 a pound, and then in 2020 it jumped to $6 a pound. And then, I can't keep affording to do this. This is, a family of 4 would show up to a neighborhood that we were posted up at, and the bill's like $150, and they're like, we can't afford this. And I'm like, you get it?
I can't either.
I can't afford to give it to you for anything less. Like, I'm sorry. So that was tough. That was a big learning curve. We slowed down. And then really did like a hard launch in like 2021. And things were good for a while. There was, like I said, a lot of learning curves, trying to figure out
Did
spots
you?
where the best, where we could sell out quick instead of sit there all day.
Mm-hmm. Were there any, I guess, high moments where you just felt like everything was perfect, or any low moments where you just kind of had to
Yeah,
figure something out?
yeah. We did a couple weddings that were really great. Did a couple events. There was a few neighborhoods that we hit repeatedly, and I mean, there was a line an hour long. Like people would just stand in line for food. Like I don't know, it was kind of overwhelming. Like I'm trying my best to hurry and get through this, but also like thank you guys so much for the support. It's super cool. And then there were other times where we'd show up in a neighborhood and we'd only have 6 people show up. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, this neighborhood didn't advertise or tell anybody. And it's in the back where nobody drives through the front and sees us, so nobody knows we're there. I've had events get canceled, like on a Saturday event get canceled because of weather, but not tell me. So I'm prepping. I'd start prepping Tuesday and then show up on Saturday and there's nobody there. It's like, man, I've got all this food. Just I'm gonna save
Just dying.
and but most of it went to waste. So yeah, those are some lows. But like I said, man, there were some of the highs. Winning some competitions, getting some top 10 finishes were cool. Being able to meet some great people in the barbecue world was really great. But yeah, I got asked to be on a reality cooking show on Fox that Gordon Ramsay was a part of.
Whoa.
So they had all these questions, and I asked if there was any smokers involved, and they were like, "No, it's all like indoor." And I was like, "No, I'm kind of an outdoor kind of
Yeah.
smoker type. I don't know
Oh
any."
man, you should have just done it. You should have just done it.
I could make the first episode pretty memorable when I was the first one to leave because I tried to do a brisket in an oven or something and it turned out terrible.
Man, yeah, I'd watch that.
Yeah.
But so it sounds like, things are going well with your wife. They're going well with the food truck. What was I guess obviously you found out about the allergy induced asthma. So was it just when you found out, or was there some other moment where you're like, we've got to change something?
So Remy, for the first 5.5, 6 years of her life, she was sick more than she was well. Constant, like, just junk in her nose and can't breathe and runny eyes and ears clogging up. Really, really terrible skin rashes that her skin would just be peeling off from itching so much. So we went down this path of, all right, we got to figure something out. We started with like, over the counter stuff. Okay, that's not, let's get her to the doctor. Doctor really didn't have many answers. Here, try this, try this. That didn't work. Seasonally, end of summer, fall was always her worst time. Um, so we started going to the allergist and found out, hey, here's this huge list of things that she's allergic to. Like, okay, well, let's try to combat as much as we can. We had a dog that we had to get rid of because she's pretty much any animal with fur, she's severely, severely allergic to. So going to a specialist, we went a holistic route. We went to one guy that we had to question some of his methods because we're like, hey, this is super weird. Like, is this some kind of new age Scientology stuff?
Can you share any of it?
Like having her hold on to these like metal tubes, and then he would put different like little vials of things that she was allergic to. He would put them on this like little scale and then click on stuff with his computer and then swap them out. And the whole time he's like, yeah, we're trying to clear her of these allergies. And I'm just going, this seems so weird. Some of it worked. I didn't, when your little girl is just turning blue in the face and face and say, "Daddy, I can't breathe." Like, we were willing to try anything at that point. So we went on trip for almost 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. My wife, with her side hustle that exploded, was getting honored at their like yearly get together, formal banquet type thing. She was getting recognized. It was in St. Louis, so we went. Her family lives in Illinois, so we went up to Illinois for about a week. We went to St. Louis and then came back through Tennessee and then home. That time period, Remy was really great. We had all her breathing treatment stuff. We had all her EpiPens and medications and creams and all that. And we had to use it some, but not much. And Megan and I, on the drive home from Tennessee, were both like, wow, she did really, really well. So after driving about, I don't know, 2 days worth of driving, I'm exhausted. We're pulling into this house. Hold on, let me back up. We bought this house on acreage in the woods. Thought this was going to be our forever home. Had all these plans, all this great stuff that we wanted to do there. And, like I said, dream house. We pull up into the driveway and Megan just prayed out loud, "God, if our house is making Remy sick, will you please let us know? Like, we have to know this for her sake." And I thought, that's a weird prayer. Why would you pray that? Okay, sure, babe, whatever you want. That night, we were home hour and a half, and she's just itching and turning red and rash and can't breathe. We're doing breathing treatments. And I remember laying in bed going, "Okay, God, that was really, really fast. We'll give you till tomorrow morning." That was super fast. You answered that so quick. Like, we'll just give you time to make sure.
Yeah, double check.
Yeah. The next morning it was bad. And so Megan and I just both looked at each other, and I think we both thought it, but neither one of us wanted to say it. But it was like, okay, we have to sell our house. So we put the house on the market. Our plan was to buy a brand new townhouse, new construction. No one's ever lived in it. No criminals have ever been in it. It'll be completely safe for Remy. We were going to create a bubble for her to be completely healthy and safe. And then we were going to buy land and then build a brand new house. Same concept.
Yeah.
So we got the townhouse. We got settled in. We were there for, I don't know, maybe a month, and she just wasn't better. And that's when we found out it's not the house, it's the environment. Like, all of South Carolina is trying to kill her. We got a printed list of all her allergies, and it was, I think South Carolina was like the third worst state for her to live in for all her allergies.
Whoa.
So that was kind of crazy. That was kind of a shock. It's like, okay.
So we can't live in South Carolina anymore.
But before all this, my wife and I, like, it was tough. Shutting down the food truck, selling the house, focusing on Remy. It was a tough time, like, for our family, for me personally. Feeling like a failure as a dad, failure as a husband, like, I can't take care of my little girl. What do we do? And someone, graciously suggested, like, "Hey, why don't you guys read this book together as a couple?" And I was like, okay. I was like, oh, whatever, sure. Be nice and say sure. No intention of reading. I'm not much of a reader. But Megan started reading it. She got through like the first chapter and came to me like in tears and was like, "We have to read this together. Like, this is so impactful." I was like, okay. So we read it together, and the whole time, like beginning of 2021, like, I just kept feeling like there's got to be something more. Like, there's whatever we're trying to do here is not working. Like, there's got to be more. And it's like, okay, God, what are you calling us into? What do you want us to do? and just a lot of time in prayer. And it just really felt like God saying, I have something for you, just hang on. And then really going through this book, the book's called Living Fearless. At the end of Living Fearless, Megan asked me, okay, so if we were really, truly living fearless, what would you do? And I said, you're not going to like my answer. And she was like, tell me, what would you do? And I said, I would move out west. I would move out west and I would be a hunting guide and a cook, camp cook for hunters, and I would share Jesus with hunters. And she was like, you're right, I don't like that answer. But she's like, why aren't we doing that? And I said, well, because our life is here, our family is here, all that. And she's like, well, let's look into it. So I'd like to feel like we had a calling to come to do something, move out of our bubble in South Carolina, into a place unknown, to share the love of Jesus with others. And we really truly believe that Remy is the one that sped that up. Once fall hit and she was just so miserable and terrible, we both said we can't spend another fall here. We have to leave this summer. So it was a very quick, let's get everything sold, moved, figured out. And man, I got to tell you, God just opened so many doors that we thought weren't even doors. We didn't even think they were anything, just a wall. And then all of a sudden there's a door, and it's like God's like, come on, let's go. I've got something for you. Like let's. So we're here now. We're doing that. Yeah, we're doing lots of things. And Remy's health for the last 10 months is the healthiest she's been in her entire life. So that Utah high desert dry air is really, really helping. So she's able to play soccer. Back home, she never would have been able to play soccer. Out here, she's dominating, so it's a lot of fun.
That's crazy. So the items, so I wouldn't think that South Carolina would be, as far as when I think allergies, I would think, a place like a big city like New York or like a Houston where they've got plants everywhere and, the air is already bad. So what made South Carolina so bad? Is it just the trees,
Yeah,
pollen?
a lot of the pollen, a lot of the ragweed, the mold, because it's very humid. Anything really in the southeast that's super humid grows different spores of mold that are really, really bad for her. But the ragweed especially, man, she could walk outside barefoot through the grass, and then her entire body's inflamed, and just she's in the bathtub just crying and screaming, and Daddy, this hurts, and it's like all I know what to do is pray and just be like,
Yeah.
take whatever pain she's in away, please. So, yeah, it was tough. It's been, I don't know, it's been an adventure. It's been a hard adventure. Uh, we knew nothing about this place. Don't have friends or family here, so uh, we're making that. We came out with an effort to visit a bunch of churches and try to find a Christian community that we could engage in. And we're surrounded by Mormons. We've had some really, really cool talks and really good conversations trying to navigate what life here is like. It's different, but it's been good. It's been real good.
So you had said that living fearless in this book, so moving here. So now that you're here, how do you see that kind of playing out now that
Yeah.
you're like,
Well,
I'm here?
Remy, my middle daughter, she's in second grade. This year alone, 2 kids in her class, their dads have died unexpectedly. And Remy is just so tender and sweet, and she just loves on them so well. We've been able to do stuff with them, have the girls over. They're both girls who lost their dad, have them over, and just love on them. Same thing with the moms, just been able to love on them. It's very sweet spot for me because my dad died when I was her exact age. So, second grade, 7 years old. Yeah, it's a tender spot for me to be able to love on these little girls and their moms and family. And help in any way that we can. Like, we didn't really come out here with huge plans of, oh, we're going to plant a church or we're going to do all these wonderful things, but it's been little stuff like that that's just been like, okay, God, thank you for this opportunity to love on these people. Thank you for the church community that we're building that we can help strengthen and encourage and build up. I've been able to talk with guys that I work with, have some great conversations with them. We had for Easter, I told Meg I wanted to smoke a brisket, and I got up at like 2:30 and started smoking a brisket. Was going to go to church and then let it rest and then come back and we'd eat it for lunch. And then she said, well, hey, we should invite another family over to enjoy it. And I said, great, do it. Well, that turned into being like 26 people at our house, and it just kept growing and growing. And it was great. We got to just love on the people here, and that's just a cool reminder of what God has invited us into. And then being able to see Remy just so healthy has been a cool reminder.
Do your other two, how do they feel about this whole move transition?
My youngest is excited. She loves it. Culture here in Utah, it's a lot of sweets, a lot of like soda shop drive-throughs, ice cream places, candy places, and she is all about that. And she's like, can we please go get more sugar? No, we cannot. We have to stop. My oldest, she probably struggles the most. She has the most memories back home. Her biggest fear was moving here and not having any friends. And one of the churches that we visited, the first time we visited, the pastor's daughter, we didn't know it was the pastor's daughter, she saw Sadie. They were the same age. She came up to her and said, hey, would you like to come sit with me and my friends? I'll introduce you to people. And she was like, Mom, can I? She's like, yeah, go. Awesome. So she has her little group of friends, and that was almost like a little high five from God of, hey, here you go.
Yeah, you're good.
For your daughter, too. I care about her. I love her, too. And I care for her heart. I want to make sure that she knows she's loved. Being able to find that was cool. And we stayed at the church. We're still there.
Nice. Do you think, I can only imagine, I don't know if this was the case, but I can only imagine that during the past 5 or so years before, when Remy was having issues, did the other two feel any way like, why are you spending so much time on Remy? And like,
the youngest, no, she's too young to really fathom everything that was going on. The oldest, watching her little sister struggle, she would get emotional and start crying. And, Daddy, I don't want her to die. Please don't let her die. Like, babe, we've got this under control. It's okay. This is not for you to worry about. You just love your little sister and be kind to her. Quit being a bully to her, type thing. And it was like, she's going to be okay. And she would say, well, whatever makes her better, whatever we can do. And, so explaining to her, like, hey, this move is partially about Remy, but also partially because we're doing it because we feel like God is inviting us into something here. And so, I would say, I don't know, 90% of the time she's great with it. 10% of the time it's, she's about to be, well, she is 10. So she's hit double digits, and she's about to go through that phase where she knows better and everybody and dad type thing. So there's times where that attitude comes out, and it's just like, please stop.
do any of them follow either more your personality or more your wife's personality?
Yeah, Sadie and Megan are the same person, so they butt heads a lot. They both love me very, very much, so I'm kind of the one stuck in the middle. Remy is just like me, personality-wise. So she'll always come whisper, Dad, we're the same. It's almost like her way of saying, you understand me, you get me, type thing. And it's like, yeah, babe, that's right. And then the youngest, we don't know who she's like. She's just a child. She's redheaded, firecracker. She's going to run the world one day. It's scary.
So I know for me, I've got August, so I talk to him and I deal with him one way. And then now I have Isla, so now I'm thinking, okay, I've got to deal with her a different way. So you've got all girls. So what is kind of your, like, I know I'm training him to become a man after God's own heart. I want him to be. So how, I guess, what are your goals when you're talking and working with your kids? Like, what's your goal? What do you
Yeah.
want? What is your role, I guess?
So I've had this conversation with Sadie. We've talked a lot about the character of Jesus, and if there's any characteristics in her life that are outside of Jesus, then we need to make some corrections. Jesus was kind and loving, and if your words are not kind and loving, we need to have a conversation. Jesus was inclusive and didn't leave people out. He saw people and wanted to help. And if you are bullying or keeping people out intentionally and making them feel bad, then we need to have a conversation. So I tell my kids, don't lie to me because I can't help you if you lie to me. You can tell me the truth. We can work through it. What is known can be managed. Really, really trying to nail down, hey, if you screw up, you better say, I need to go talk to dad, not I need to hide from dad type thing. So I'm really, really, really trying to drill that into their brains of don't lie to me. I don't care what it is. If it's known, it can be managed, and daddy's going to help you the best way he can. So I think they know that because when they screw up, they run to daddy first. She's mama.
Yeah, I guess you're not quite to the teens. I think that's what I'm not really worried about August when he's a teenager, but I'm worried about Isla when she's a teenager and you've got three.
They're all going to be teenagers at the same time.
Yeah, you're in for it.
Daddy says, hey, he's going to the mountains. Go talk to your mama.
Yeah. Oh man. So for me, I kind of have, I don't know, okay, I say for me, but I have an outlet, I guess. Like I have, like we had kind of talked about before, I have an outlet where, I can take him, we could go do guy stuff. So obviously you can go and do girl stuff, but do you have a way to like, or do you have a group of friends, or do you have kind of a way that you have that outlet to go do a guy thing?
Yeah, I'm a hunter, so getting in the mountains and hunting is kind of my escape. I've met some guys here that one guy in particular moved his family here from California. He was a Marine and now he's a police officer. So he's in the guy stuff, like you said. He's never hunted. He wants to learn to hunt. So I'm hoping to take him out and maybe do some camping trips and some hunting trips this fall. So yeah, that's kind of my thing. My girls, Sadie in particular, my oldest, loves fried catfish. So getting out and catching some catfish and bringing it home and cooking it up is what she wants so badly. We haven't done it yet in Utah. Working on it.
Mm-hmm.
Catfish here are different than the catfish back home, so hopefully she still loves it after she tries.
I'm sure. I'm sure she will. I heard there's kind of a little transition here over to a separate topic, but I heard recently that you get married 5 times, and the hope is that you marry the same person all those 5 times. And those 5 times are you get married the first time, and it's just you and your wife, and then your second marriage is now with kids, and then your third marriage is when they're teenagers or almost adults.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the kids are out of the house, and then at the very end or towards the end. And so I thought that was a really interesting way to look at it because, some transitions are easier than others, but the whole point was people don't usually last during the transitions, and that's where marriages fall apart, is during those transitions. So obviously, you guys have had, on your second marriage, as it were. But through this whole process, how did you, I don't know, how did you get through it? Because like you said, at one point before you had moved to Utah, you were feeling like maybe I'm a bad father I can't protect my kid. She's sick and I don't know what to do. And I doubt your wife had separate feelings. I'm sure at some point she maybe felt the same way. So how did you guys kind of work through that together? And now that you're here, kind of tell us a little bit about how you guys managed your relationship.
Going back first, let's see, 5 years of marriage were really tough. We had never lived in the same state together other than like during the summer because we did long distance for a while. And then when we got married. So after we got married and she was there all the time, it was like, this is different. Like I love it, but this is different. We had some really terrible first several years, first 5 years. I don't know how in depth you want me to go, but there was
as much as you want to.
There's a lot of sin in my life that got exposed 5 years into marriage, and I wasn't sure if she was going to stick around. And I thought my baby girl was going to go with her. So we fought really, really hard for our marriage at that point. We both made a commitment that we were going to get help. She got counseling. I got counseling. We got counseling together. God 100% redeemed our marriage. So maybe we have 6 marriages. Maybe we have our first marriage. Maybe we have the awful trials we went through to begin our second marriage and then kids. So we often call what we are in currently new marriage. And there are times where one of us or both of us will say, hey, that's old marriage language. That's old marriage actions. That's not who we are anymore. We are in new marriage. Yeah, it's a good reminder of what God has redeemed us for. So we really, really heavily lean on that. A lot of the counseling and help that we've had have really we're a perfect couple. We still fight, but we still argue and have disagreements. But we both have the same goal in mind of loving others and sharing Jesus with others and raising our girls to love others and to love God. We can agree on those things, and even in the toughest of times, we can still agree on those things. And, Jesus is the one that keeps us going forward and keep us striving to be the best parents and spouses that we can be.
Yeah. Do you have any examples of that you feel comfortable sharing about the old marriage versus new marriage? Like you said, that's old marriage.
Yeah. I think old marriage was you go do your thing and I'll do my thing, stay together type thing.
Gotcha.
You have your friends, I have my friends. I want to hunt year round. You want to go travel type thing. Not on the same page, not on, same life goals type thing. And then in new marriage, it's more of, hey, we're going to be on each other's team. We're going to have each other's backs no matter what. You want to go travel? Cool, let's go travel. I want to go hunt? Cool, let's find a way to get to where I can go hunt. A lot of more just open and honest discussions instead of just assuming such negativity between us. So assuming positive intent by the words that she chooses or says, and same thing for me. She assumes positive intent by what I choose to say or how I say it, instead of it turning into an argument. It's just more like, oh, I know Russell loves me, or I know Megan loves me, and we want what's best for each other. So being able just to kind of change our thought process behind certain conversations and actions and that kind of stuff. And it's just like, oh, okay, she's not the enemy. She wants what's best for me. She's not dragging me down or holding me back. She loves me and she wants what's best for me, and vice versa. So yeah.
Okay. Do you? I
don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah. No, it does. It does. I was just trying to, understand exactly old marriage versus new marriage, and so obviously at some point, whether it was, I don't know if you mentioned whose idea it was to kind of say, okay, we need to figure this out, during those 5 years, who was like, was there someone in your life that was pushing you, hey, you guys should do this? Was it a collective, or did you lead the charge to change?
After like just just getting exposed for a lot of things. It was almost like, okay, I'm at rock bottom. Like I've got to push through, and whether she wants to stay with me or not, like I'm going to fight to be a better man and husband and father. And at that point, I didn't know if we were going to last. And then we got counseling. We always say that Jesus and our counselor, Jim, Jesus and Jim saved our marriage. So, yeah, I think once she saw that I was serious and committed to getting the help and the healing that I needed, I think that softened her enough to be like, okay, then I need to get help and healing as well. And then we need to get help and get healing as a couple too. So yeah, I think that changed. I don't know. It was a very quick change. I don't know that there was like one person or that pushed us into that. It was more like, okay, like there's nowhere else to go. Like I have my grandpa. I lived with him for a while during that time, and he was my best friend. He helped me through so much of just life, even going back to when I was little and I lost my dad. So yeah, having him around was a huge help.
Was he someone, and I don't remember all the timelines, and whenever I think growing up, maybe because of how my parents talked, or I never thought of you as not being like blood
Yeah,
related, like cousin. Same thing. Even though Ty and Crimson are obviously Ty, I still, in my head, I think, yeah, we're related. Like to me. And so I never really think about, in your case, your father passed away, which is not my uncle Daniel.
yeah,
It's so like, and so I don't think about it as much.
yeah.
But when that happened, how soon after how long were you without a father in the house, I guess, or a father figure in the house?
Let's see. Dad died when I was 7, and then Mom got remarried to Daniel. I think I was 10. I think they got married in '98. So yeah, about 3 years.
Okay. Was it a,
If my mom watches this, she can fact check me.
yeah, well, if she's not watching it now, she'll have a reason to watch my podcast. Was it a easy transition for you? Because, 7, you're still younger, but you still understand enough.
Yeah. No, not really. There was a lot looking back now as an adult that I wish I could go back and like that little punk kid and be like, hey, like this is a good thing. Like quit acting out, quit being so angry, quit being so bitter type thing. I don't know. I had it in my mind that Daniel was trying to replace my dad. And it wasn't until he was like, hey, sat me down and said, I'm not trying to replace your dad. I'm just trying to do the best that I can. And it was like, okay, that changes how I view it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't, the easiest of transitions, but, I wouldn't change it now. Daniel, dad, stepped in, a woman that just lost her husband and had 3 kids, one of them with severe special needs. And he never looked back. And he just worked his butt off to provide and to care for and to love us. Yeah, a lot of respect for that. At the time, I didn't. At the time, I didn't get it and understand. But yeah, looking back, it's different.
Do you feel a lot of the influence, or how you parent, or how you are a husband? Do you believe a lot was influenced through him, or were there some other people in your lives that you kind of looked to for guidance? Or
Yeah, I had him, yes. My grandpa, yes. My other grandpa, my birth dad's dad, he and my dad were hunting buddies, and then after dad died, I kind of became my grandpa's hunting buddy. So he taught me to hunt and fish and that kind of stuff. Kind of picked up where dad was kind of left off. I don't know. Looking back, I had a lot of guys kind of step in and not try to play the father figure type, but would help out uncles that would kind of help out where needed. So yeah, I think I've taken a lot from a lot of different guys on how to be a man and a husband and a father. So I don't think I have one specific that I'm like, I'm gonna 100% parent like him or 100% be a husband like him. It's just, I had a lot of influence, and that time frame of losing my dad's a very influential time in a young boy's life. Being able to see it from different angles, uh, it's helped.
Do you think that, with the knowledge that you have now, uh, do you think that maybe working with, like you said, obviously the two girls that lost their dad, opportunity there, do you foresee, I don't want to say adoption or like, something along the lines of helping in that way to other.
We've talked about adopting. We're not in a place right now to consider it. That's
Sure,
on the
yeah.
back burner, but we've talked about that. We've had multiple conversations about that. Megan and I met working at a special needs camp, so we both have a heart for kids with disabilities and special needs, and we've talked about, how can we get involved with that more here, and maybe even adopting a kid with special needs and giving a loving home to grow up in. Yeah, we've talked about a lot of stuff like that. One thing that kind of answers your question is we read this. There's this pastor, I think he's in Washington, D.C. He wrote a book that I kind of flipped through. Megan read all of it and loved it. I listened to some of it and flipped through some of it. But one of the things that really stuck out to me was he did this whole chapter on how God loves to recycle your pain. I was like, that really stuck with me, because it's like, you know what? I am the guy who lost his dad when he was 7. I can allow God to recycle that pain and let me help these little girls who just lost their dad. I am a brother to one of the coolest guys in the world that has special needs.
Mm-hmm.
I never looked at that as a negative growing up. It was always fun and a positive for
Mm-hmm.
me. But I wouldn't say like there's trauma attached to that, but there's stuff attached to that hey, God can recycle that through me, and I can love on others with special needs, or love on a family who have a special needs child. Uh, you know, almost losing my marriage and my daughter. There's so much there that Megan and I want to explore in doing marriage ministry here and helping other people hurting, other guys with struggles with anger and bitterness, depression, pornography addiction, those types of things. Like, God used me. How can I help others not go down those paths that I went down?
So you probably don't know this, but about a month ago, Emily lost her brother. And when he passed away, it was tragic, but he left behind a almost 10-year-old boy who is on the spectrum for autism. You won't know unless you start watching or listening to him. And he also left a almost 7-year-old boy with Down syndrome. And so, we're trying to think, okay, well, what is our role in all of this? We're not in Dallas now, but maybe that's something that we need to discuss, making that transition to be somewhere where maybe we feel like God wants us to be able to not take over, not take over his position as father or husband, but to be able to support and help where we can. And so that's been something that we've been thinking about and talking about a lot. And I mean, since you were kind of in that position, do you have any advice for someone that, like the two girls that lost their, what are you doing to what are you telling them? How are you working through it with them? And even explaining it with your own kids, like how are you going through that?
Yeah, man, that's really tough. And I'm very sorry that happened. Yeah, I would say like cases are different, and kids feel different things and experience different things. So there's no like real cookie cutter answer. There's no like, hey, this is the plan for your life now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. there's going to be a lot of bitterness and anger and confusion. And the more you think about it, the more angry and bitter you can become, type thing. But being able to love people through that and have honest conversations of, it was never supposed to be this way. God did not design our lives to be this way, but sin entered the world and it changed everything. So being able to point people to Jesus in a tough time like that, it's hard, because the girls here, the one mom blatantly said, we're not religious, we don't want to talk about it. And it's like, okay, we're not going to force feed you, we're going to love you. We're going to love you, and we're going to let you see Jesus through our actions and our love. The other girl, her and her mom have come to church with us. Her mom came to church with us once on Easter, and then the girl has come with us, I think, twice now, maybe 3 times. And we bought her and Remy matching Bibles, and they can kind of read through them together and compare notes, whatever.
What notes are they taking right now? But whatever notes they are.
Yeah. So, just trying to love them and let them know, hey, yeah, it sucks, and yeah, it's going to be hard, but you have the choice of not being angry and bitter and going down a dark path the way I did. And mine was, kind of in silence and quiet and alone and behind the scenes. It was never something I talked about or sought help for. It was kind of suffering in silence type thing. But being able to let them know that, hey, you're not alone in this, and we can talk through anything you want to talk through, and I'd love to hear about your dad. It's like keeping his memory alive by talking about him and enjoying the good times that you had with him, type thing, is probably going to be helpful for them. So we try. I haven't had like the sit down conversation with them, but we've let them know, hey, you know what? Remy's like, hey, my dad's dad died too when he was your age. Like, he gets it, he understands, type thing. So yeah, so it's tough. It's it's easy to say God will recycle your pain, but it's not always fun.
Yeah.
If you can let him do it, and you can do it for his glory, then God will use it. So
I love what you said about recycling pain. I think it's good for a lot of people to hear, because either they don't think they have anything good to say, or they think that whatever they went through is better not talked about. So I think there's so many ways that's good for people to hear. I think we talk a lot, and I don't know how much of any of the episodes you've listened to, but we talk a lot about success and legacy and what that means for Christian men. And for me, I know what I want for August, and I know what I want for Isla, and this podcast is almost a way to leave something behind. Going to be on the computer and the internet forever, and maybe there's a couple people here or there that are influenced by it, and obviously a life well lived and the influence. But how do you or what are you looking to leave as far as a legacy for your kids and the grandkids after that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think my number one goal as a dad and a husband right now is to make sure that my family is in heaven. It might sound cheesy to say, but
It sounds cheesy, but it's accurate.
I want my girls to love God with all their heart, and I want them to love others really well. And I hope and pray that is, one day at my funeral, that's what my girls remember the most. His dad loved Jesus, and he loved others, and he wants us to do the same. So, like we talked about with the things of the characteristics of Jesus, anything that's outside of that needs correction. Like, I want my girls to see, hey, even though dad struggles, he is trying to display the characteristics of Jesus. And even though moving cross country is really hard on him as a dad and a husband, and it's hard on a marriage, and it's hard on other family relationships and friendships. I want them to see like dad still chose to obey what he felt God was inviting him to. So yeah, I think, I mean, when I'm dead and gone, I don't really care what other people think about me. But my girls, if they think about me, I want them to remember dad as someone that loved Jesus and loved others.
He's beautiful. I think there's a song. It's I can't remember if I think he might be Christian, but like the songs he sings, there are tones. Ben Rector, I don't know if that name sounds familiar, but he's got a song out. It's called "The Richest Man in the World." It came out recently, and pretty much his whole thing was, I've got probably won't have a huge jet or this huge mansion in this huge city. I won't have all this stuff, but when I get up to heaven, and they ask me like, who are you? And they'll be like, well, I was the richest man in the world. I had a wife that loved me. I had kids that were there and that loved me. And that was pretty much the main thing. Now, obviously, we add on to it and I showed God's love and they became Christians after that. And we're there as well. But the song for me just kind of was a whole reminder that, everything that we do, we may not have all these great things, but right now in my life, I've got a boy, I've got a little girl, I've got a wife that's awesome. And, and everything else in life it's whatever. But those things alone, like I still feel like richest man in the world.
I get it. I feel that.
Which I hope that, listening to this and hopefully people listening to kind of your story can hopefully appreciate that, we can't take this stuff with us. We can work super hard for the money and the success and everything else. But it doesn't all matter. The family and God, those are things that matter. But with that, I have one final question for you. And that is, and this is it's a question that pretty much everybody asks, but if you could go back in time and tell your young, maybe 20-year-old self, one or two things, what would you tell him?
20-year-old? Oh, I think I'd want to beat him up.
Teach him a quick lesson.
He needs a punch in the face. No, I don't know. I'd probably tell 20-year-old Russell, quit being an idiot. Be serious about what God wants for your life and focus on that and quit hiding and chasing other things secretly.
Well said.
Yeah.
Well said. Well, thank you, Russell. Thank you for all those listening online. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, and subscribe. And I just, this was made by Travis Woodhams and 323 Sports. So if there's any interest, I'll figure out a way to get these available if anybody is interested.
Cool hat,
so, yeah, it did an awesome job. I love it. But yeah, thanks, Russell.
Yeah, man, thank you.